Hi folks, I'm here to relay the real story as I've pieced it together of the cocaine bear, aka the snow bear, aka Pablo Escobar. I'll also discuss the possible unintended consequences of the 2023 movie Cocaine Bear. For some background, I have a personal love and respect for black bears, and I've helped with some black bear biological work in the past. And I loved educating people about black bears when I was a park ranger. Black bears are amazing and adaptable creatures that almost never have deadly encounters with people. Would you believe that only 300 people have been killed by black bears since 1900? Well, you shouldn't, because I lied. It's actually 107, which is crazy, because I lied again. It's actually only 61 people since 1900. And when you consider that there are still hundreds of thousands of black bears living in North America, that means that a vast majority of encounters are harmless. My chances of being killed by domestic dogs, bees, cows, and lightning are vastly greater. So that brings me to Cocaine Bear, the horror comedy that was released in 2023 that wildly distorted a black bear into a vicious antagonist. My problem with this seemingly harmless entertainment is that this gory anthropomorphic CGI bear may ultimately distort public perceptions of bears and may hurt bear-focused conservation efforts. For an example of how this plays out in real life, let's look at the actual real-life unintended consequences of the portrayal of sharks in the movie Jaws. The Jaws effect, as it's called, describes the situations where, after the acclaimed 1975 movie, policymakers in Australia used movie mythology of sharks over evidence-based science to argue for the killing of sharks. In short, the hysteria generated by this horror movie ended up hurting real animals, and we need to make sure that history doesn't repeat itself with bears. The best way that I know how to deal with misinformation is with education. So let's focus on what happened when a real bear got a hold of 75 kilograms of cocaine. That's roughly 165 pounds. Now we're going back in time. Not as far as Abby goes back in time, only to the year 1985. The mullet was on the rise and the cocaine market was at its peak. It was in this year that a former Kentucky narcotics officer turned drug smuggler, Andrew Carter Thornton II, dumped 3 duffel bags full of cocaine from his overloaded Cessna into a national forest in Georgia near the state's border with Tennessee. The duffel bags were discovered by a 3 to 4-year-old, 175-pound male black bear. He was most likely searching diligently for food before finally finding a den for the winter. You see, bears have to survive on their fat stores alone until coming out of their dens in spring. Another thing you must know about bears is that they're not picky eaters. If it smells like food, it will be eaten. You may be asking yourself, why would a bear think that 75 kilograms of cocaine was food? The likely explanation is that cocaine is often cut with other substances like baking soda and flour. And like antifreeze, it smells alluringly sweet to the super powerful nose of a black bear. It's commonly claimed that black bears have a nose 7 times more sensitive than a bloodhound. Anyway, any excitement that the bear may have experienced while consuming the cocaine was likely exceedingly short-lived. Georgia's chief medical examiner at the time reported that the bear had absorbed 3 to 4 grams of cocaine into its system, and estimated that the bear only lived 30 to 45 minutes before succumbing to acute cocaine intoxication, noting that the bear's stomach was filled with cocaine. The body of the drug smuggler was found on September 11, 1985, in a driveway in Knoxville, Tennessee, shortly after he unsuccessfully attempted to parachute out of his overloaded plane. The body of his victim was discovered close to a month later, partially decomposed and in close proximity to the dumped cargo. Notably, there were no bear-related disturbances reported. Now back to this CGI monstrosity. The creation of this fictional bloodthirsty bear creates obvious problems for the image of black bears, which is a shame because black bears are amazing, curious, and adaptable creatures. You wouldn't know it from watching the movie, but about 80% of their diet is plant-based, and it's mostly hard and soft mast. Think nuts and berries. And they mostly scavenge any of the meat that they do consume, except for a short period of time in Pennsylvania when they hunt deer fawn. They're opportunistic and wary of unnecessarily expending energy and getting injured during hunting. Ultimately, I think the real cocaine bear, aka Snow Bear, aka Pablo Escobar story, is a cautionary tale of how our trash endangers wildlife. And I think the Cocaine Bear movie is likely to perpetuate false stereotypes about bears and could endanger real-life bears. Filmmakers have more power over the beliefs of their viewers than they acknowledge, and I think that more thought needs to go into the movie-making process, but admittedly, I don't know exactly where to start with that issue. What I do know is that the further we move away from behaviorally accurate portrayals of animals, the easier it is to villainize them in real life. This movie may present viewers with their first and only representation of a black bear. Obviously, this is a fictional, over-the-top, horrific comedy. But while we know that in the moment, unconscious connections, biases, and fears are being created by this movie. What people will remember is that bears are dangerous and bloodthirsty, and this just doesn't line up with reality. If you'd like to learn more about bear behavior, I recommend visiting bear.org. They have an amazing wealth of resources for curious people. Also, check out bearwise.org if you want more educational materials and if you want to know what steps you can take to be safe around bears. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this in the future. Lastly, leave a comment and tell me your favorite bear fact or tell me a good story about black bears that you know. See you next time on Psyched for Nature. Hey, Abby, have a very excellent day.
I hate you.
Okay, bye.